Hey, this is Ramon, Channel Alpha 4, and welcome to Chapter 5 of Genesis. So here we have another genealogical list, and in this list there's a change here because now Adam's no longer an individual. Now Adam is a representative of all humanity. So these are the descendants of humanity, connecting Noah all the way back to the first human, or the first humanity. So that's an interesting turn. Also, the Babylonian and Egyptian and the Greek, and by the Greek I mean the Minoan and Mycenaean pre-flood king list, have roughly about the same number of generations and have the same absurdly long lifespans, some even longer. And I mentioned this also in a previous video. But it is interesting to me that whether the numbers are 6, 10, or 9, whether the numbers are 7 or 12, these are all what people call perfect numbers. They're holy numbers, magical numbers, something that is outside of current modern Christian understanding and way outside of Christian mysticism and Judaic mysticism. But at one point, there is a magical element to numbers, sort of like how there's a magical element to knowledge, to wisdom. These kind of perfect numbers equate meaning. So, for instance, the Trinity, 3. So 3 is a kind of special number. 12 is kind of a special number. 13 is kind of a special number. Even later on, in different traditions, you'll have Pythagoras with, I believe, the numbers 4. That every fourth thing is something different. So you'll see these kind of repeating patterns. And here, the numbers are 6, 10, or 9. And these are the generation list. But I think there's something else going on here, because I think it might be the storyteller trying to hint to his audience some information. So in all of these kings lists, basically the further back in time we go, the greater the numbers. And even though, like I said, the common idea is that these are dynasties, so these are the family name that ruled, I don't think so. I think it's more like the further back we go, the more quasi-historical it is. And the closer we get to present time, the greater the chance that this is knowable history or provable knowledge. So I think the numbers become more realistic as we get closer to what we know and get more radical the further away we are from knowable things. And it's a way to signal to the listener, or to the reader, to the audience, that we are exiting known information and going into the inspired, or into the speculative history of what things may have been. And this gets further complicated with the King's List and with the way that it works, because the spelling and variations in the names are interesting here. For instance, Noah, Tubal-Cain are basically the same guy. The spelling of Cain changes from King's List to King's List, or from here, genealogical list to genealogical list. So you have Kenan and then Cain, same guy. Well, over here, it gets even weirder, because Noah, on the same, if you look at King's List from different cultures, from different pre-flood cultures, and I say pre-flood because these cultures also had a flood in their creation myths, that the kings before the flood, the very last king, or the very last guy who ends up being the survivor who puts everybody in an ark or a boat or a canoe or whatever it is, the main guy in the Mesopotamian is a guy named, and I gotta look at this when I say it, Ut-Nap-Ishtim. Upnapishtim. So that's the Mesopotamian Noah. And you can see this guy in the Epic of Gilgamesh. He shows up. So it's interesting to have that parallel. And then if I'm going to bring that up, I also should bring up the fact that the Hebrew and the Greek disagree with the names and the spelling, and that depending on the language that you are reading, i.e. English, French, or Spanish, you'll sometimes get a completely different name. So that's just something that is. There's nothing you can do about it. I have just started expanding. I've read multiple translations, like I've said, and I've already seen this from the King James to the NAB. Like, that's very clearly, they're completely different when it comes to the names and the way that they're trying to convey ideas. But I've started to expand to Spanish. And I don't know Spanish yet. I'm not saying that I do. But I want to get my hands on a French text. That'd be awesome. And I've read some Latin and some Greek, so I'm interested in trying to read maybe a Greek, maybe an ancient Greek text, a Septuagint or a Vulgate. Although I don't know Latin or Greek, so that'd be kind of pointless. Just kind of want to do it. But I'm planning on actually buying an Orthodox Bible, if I can get my hands on one, which I'm having a hard time finding one on Amazon, of all places. So I just want to see what the difference is. Anyway, the genealogical list, though, ends with a very subtle tip of the hat to the beginning of ethnicities and social political divisions. And basically, what you do is you get the three sons of Noah, which will be the three great cultures or three great ethnicities of the Levant, past the once we get into the Hebrewic or Israelite age. Anyway, Devonic. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.